What have 5 loaves and 2 fish got to do with you? You're watching Timeless Talks, timeless subjects, information for life. The feeding of the 5,000, as found in John chapter 6, is a critical event in the life of Jesus. He was near the Sea of Tiberias. A large crowd was gathering because they had seen the signs that he was doing on the sick, verse 2. In verse 5, he lifts up his eyes and sees the large crowd coming toward him. And then he talks to Philip and he says, "Where are we going to buy food so that these people may eat?" Well, Philip looked at him and said, "Well, 200 days' wages wouldn't be enough for these people to have even just a little." One of his disciples, Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, said to him, "There is a boy here who has 5 barley loaves and 2 fish. But what are they for so many?" But Jesus knew what he was going to do the entire time. So he had the people to sit down, all 5,000 men. But here's a question for you. How much food is available? It says it's 5 barley loaves and 2 small fish. Well, listen, according to what I can find out, that's about how big a barley loaf is. It's more like pita bread, only made with barley, the cheap grain. 5 of those, 5 big biscuits worth, and 2 small fish. The fish are believed to be about the size of 2 dried sardines. And Andrew had it right. What is that small quantity of food when you're considering 5,000 men and other people? And consider this. There's a boy present, a young boy present. Where's mom and where's dad? We don't know. We're not told. But that's a young boy. Maybe mom and dad had just let him go along with the crowd. Maybe they knew people that was going that way too, and they wanted their son to be able to enjoy this great event of this very popular man. Have you ever considered what it would have been like to have been that boy on that day? What would he have seen? What would he have heard? Well, we're not told. But it is a way to immerse yourself into the Scriptures to see what it might have been like and to consider those things. And then the Lord asks for your lunch. How are you going to respond? Well, he did what we all would have done too. He gave up his lunch. Jesus then takes that bread and he begins to break it up and have it passed out by his disciples to the crowd, along with that small amount of fish. And he just keeps on bragging, keeps on going. And that boy who's in that crowd, he gets to eat all he wants. Not just a lunch, but all he wants of the bread and of the fish. And just like him, 5,000 men have all the bread they want to eat. Matter of fact, when Jesus is done with feeding all 5,000, he told his people to gather up the leftovers. And according to verse 13, so they gathered them up and filled 12 baskets with the fragments from the 5 barley loaves left by those who had eaten. Wow! You have more left over than what you began with, and 5,000 people have eaten all they want. That is a big, big miracle. And that is what happened, and that is what led people on this day to say in verse 14, "This is indeed the prophet who is to come into the world." This is the one that we've been reading about for at least 400 years. Maybe as far back as Isaiah 53, which was 700 years, and even much further. Listen, these people came up with the right conclusion. Now, what I want to ask is this. If you had the same information and was there that day yourself, maybe not the boy, but one of the men, what would you have concluded? Would you have come up with the idea that this really is the Christ, the one that has been prophesied for so long? Would you have done that? Well, we hope that you would, and we would like to think that we would, but not everybody did. Just like not everybody does now. Listen, if you're not thinking, you're not going to come up with those answers, are you? Maybe you're just kind of along for the ride. Maybe you're along to get the free meal that Jesus did create. Or maybe you get to watch somebody be healed and see a great miracle. And you're just kind of along as someone who's just curious, but really not thinking. I'm not being accusatory towards you, nor am I about them, just trying to talk what really happens when you get large crowds. Friend, I hope that you would come to the conclusion that Jesus is the Christ. But then the next question that has to follow is this. If he is the Christ, if you were on that day and you saw that same miracle and you began to believe that this is the Christ, what difference does it make? Are there going to be changes in the way you do things? Are you going to start listening more intensely to Jesus himself, to his writings, to what his followers said? Well, if you're not going to do that, then you're just along for the ride. On the other hand, if you do believe that Jesus is God's Son, as these people are concluding, you need to be making changes too, don't you? Look at the evidence, come to the conclusion that is appropriate for you. Either believe him or disbelieve him, but deal with just the evidence. I appreciate you taking the time to watch us today. If you would, please, if you're a Facebook watcher, please share or comment or tag. If you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe. We want you to have a wonderful life. We love you, and that's why we tell you the message of Jesus, these stories from his life, in hopes that you can have a better life now and look forward to heaven eternally. Thank you again for watching. May the good Lord take a liking to you. And until next time, goodbye for now.